Let's open the door. Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Daily with Doc. My name is Becca Dukes, and I am honored and privileged as I am each and every day, because every day is a blessing to be able to be the hostess of this program we call Daily with Doc. Now, each and every day we provide empowering information that allows you as an individual to make an impact in your own life. And then hopefully you take what you learn here and spread it amongst those that you know, those that you love in the community. And altogether, we can reach the world and make the world a healthier place. Not only the people, but the environment and the planet as well. So this program is not meant to take the place of your primary care physician. It is not meant to diagnose, treat, prevent, or cure any diseases. But folks, when you give the body what it needs, the body can do some pretty amazing things. And epigenetics has proven that what we put in our mouth, what we have in our environments, will help to form and decide what and how the genes are expressed. So if you have been told that you have a genetic condition, we bring hope and good news, because there's a possibility that it really is not genetic, and there are things that you can do no matter what your age to help you be the best you can be, and even better in many cases. So this program is sponsored by dailywithdoc.com. We are a group of people, well, primarily certified holistic health coaches who just have a passion for people. We have found Dr. Wallach. We have found his message. We have implemented in our own lives, and because of the impact that is made it's been made in our own lives, we want to share with the world. So if you were invited by somebody specifically to watch this program, make sure that you get back with them. They took the time, they cared enough to tell you about it. So get back with them and tell them thank you. For those of you who are out on YouTube and Rumble and Facebook, if you would like to join us here live today, and most days, Monday through Friday, from 12 to 12:50 Pacific time. So if you're Eastern, that's 3 to 4 Eastern time. You are more than welcome to join us at dailywithdoczoom.com. Now, for those of you who are here with us already, if you have a question for Dr. Wallach, in that Zoom menu, find that option to raise hand. Look for reactions, and you'll see that little button to raise hand, and we will be going through questions in the order that your hands are raised. I'll also be going back and forth to YouTube, and my amazing co-hosts will be helping me to field the questions that are in the chat in all locations so that we can get answers for you, because we're here for you. Well, today we have a special guest with us, and this individual I just met, and I'm pretty excited. I'm surprised that I have not met him before, but I would like to bring on Phyllis Anderson, one of our co-hosts, to introduce our special guest, who Dr. Wallach actually has had some interactions with before, and I'm excited that we can bring this story to Daily with Doc. So Phyllis, take it away.
I sure will, Becca. Thank you so much. And it is truly my pleasure to introduce somebody that is not only a long-standing, but an upstanding member of our group. Andy's in my group, and he has been on the front lines, not just figuratively in the war against disease. He has literally been on the front lines as an Army Ranger and someone who did special ops, was part of special ops in the Army, did 2 tours in Afghanistan, and then brought his knowledge gained on the battlefield to the battle of health and helping people to live better and healthier lives, doing this as someone with a long-standing health issue. And the kind of health issue where they tell you that it will it will never get better. You'll just learn to cope with it and deal with it. And that's the best you can hope for. So his name is Justin Baker, and he and Dr. Wallach have known each other for quite a while in Santa Cruz, where Andy and I used to live, and Justin as well. He organized many seminars with Dr. Wallach and had him as a guest on his radio show called Veterans Take Charge at KSCO in Santa Cruz many, many times. So it's my true pleasure just to invite you to get to know Justin Baker. Becca?
Welcome, Justin, and go ahead and unmute yourself, Justin, and I'm going to bring Dr. Wallach on here with us as well. Dr. Wallach, I'm sure that you remember Justin Baker as all that he has been doing within the longevity community as a veteran himself. You also a veteran. I want to say thank you to both of you. Because of your service, we are able to be here today in many different ways with many different freedoms. So thank you. Dr. Wallach?
Yes, well,
Justin,
go ahead.
Justin has had some health conditions that you have actually helped him with, and I would like him to share his story a little bit before we have some dialogue back and forth between the two of you. Is that okay?
Oh, yeah, please.
Awesome. So Justin, tell us a little bit about yourself and some of the conditions that you have been able to take Dr. Wallach's message and implement to help yourself.
Well, I was serving in Spec Ops, and my pancreas stopped working, and I had an autoimmune diabetes diagnosis. And what's interesting is to get into Spec Ops, you have to do many military physicals. And I passed everything with flying colors, and I was in Spec Ops for a few years before this condition popped up, and the symptoms began on my second deployment. So I thought I had a altitude sickness because Afghanistan is up there. I was at 7,000 feet for several months on both deployments, but the second one is where the symptoms really began. And I dealt with that while I was doing combat missions, and I didn't realize at the time, because it was about 6 or 8 months after that deployment that I was finally diagnosed with diabetes. But my blood sugar was running 1,000 to 1,200 for about 3 months while I was over there. And every time I ate anything, it was just skyrocketing. And so it ended up, what is it, narcolepsy, or the sleeping disease where you're constantly trying to stay awake.
Yes.
It was similar to that for me. And here I am doing combat missions with Spec Ops, and I can't stay awake. And we're taking fire, and things are going on all around me. And I'm having to slap myself in the face to wake myself up because I can't stay awake because my blood sugar is so high that it's like trying to comatose me. And that's a pretty risky situation to be in, in a war where there is no front line. The whole country, there's bad guys everywhere. And so you're basically surrounded everywhere you go. But I was able to get through that deployment. I was blessed to do so because there was a few times where there's close calls, and the diabetes definitely did not make it any easier. It was tough. So when I got back, I ended up in Army Ranger School because you have to wait a year once you get to the unit in order to get into Ranger School. And once you graduate from Ranger School, which is 83 days of starvation and sleep deprivation, which obviously doesn't help when you have diabetes and you don't know it. You graduate from that and you get to lead men into combat on your next deployment. You become a sergeant. Now you have a team of men, you're a team leader, and now you're leading men into battle. If you're in a Spec Ops unit like I was. So I was climbing the ranks and getting to the point where I was about to take a leadership position. And all the while, my health was literally fading on me, and I didn't know why. And I almost died. I'm not a big guy. I'm about 5'8". At the time, I weighed about 170 pounds, and I was solid muscle. And the next thing I knew, I lost 39 pounds, and I was down to 131. And I was in a Spec Ops training environment when that happened. And so I just tried to tough it out. But as you can imagine, anytime you lose 39 pounds, you're pretty fatigued. And so here I am trying to tough it out. And I was dying. I was literally dying. And So that was the end of my career. The day that they found ketones in my urine, like I went to the medic there on base and I said, something's wrong. I don't know what's going on. But one of the other guys in the barracks was looking at me and he said, I think you have diabetes. So I was diagnosed by a fellow ranger in the training environment. He was like, my mom had it. I've seen it. I've seen the symptoms. I think you have diabetes and you've lost a lot of weight and you're urinating nonstop, which is how your body expels sugars. When you have diabetes and you can't burn them fast enough, you expel them through your urine, which is why people get kidney damage. And as soon as the medic saw me, he did a urinalysis, and within 5 minutes I was diagnosed, and he said, you're done. Your career is over. And that was heart-wrenching because I had literally been to war to build this career up, and I'd almost lost my life jumping out of airplanes and in combat. And then it all ended, and the next year the Army was trying to figure out what to do with me. And in the end, they wanted, do as little as possible because it's the cheapest way to deal with you if you're a broken piece of military equipment, which is how they treat us once we're damaged. So it was tough. It's been a tough ride. And Doc and Phyllis, they've really been some of the main people in my life since I got sick that have given me hope and told me, we're gonna see if we can turn your pancreas back on. So, and it's funny because the Veterans Administration, they do everything they can. They literally put patient is delusional in my medical file when I told them I'm going to beat this disease. They're like, they put that in my medical file and didn't bother to tell me about it. I found it years later that they're saying I have a mental disorder because I'm being positive, because I want to win. And, when you got a spec ops operator, that's the kind of person you're dealing with, is someone that's going to win against all odds or die trying. But they can't have me questioning their methods, so I just keep Doc to myself at this point, because every time I bring them up, they get scared. It scares them. It scares them that it works.
Well, we can't thank you enough, Justin, for sharing your story and beating the bad guys, both on the front and also in the back. So you're a great example of what a person can do if they're really, really, really put their mind to it and put one foot in front of the other, get information and employ it properly. Now, I was told that they diagnosed you with type 1 diabetes.
Yep. I was 23 or 24 years old.
Well, that shows you how wrong they were, because type 1 diabetes you're born with. Type 1 diabetes is supposed to be a genetic disease, and doctors make a lot of money from type 1 diabetes. So when a baby's being born, before even the legs are born out of the mother, they're taking blood from the umbilical cord, because if you have high blood sugar when you're born, they know you have type 1 diabetes and they can send their kids to college, okay, because they got a type 1 diabetic by the way the baby's born. Mm-hmm. So, and you were 24 years old, you say?
Yeah.
When you were diagnosed with diabetes, that's not type 1 diabetes, that's type 2 diabetes. And there's all kinds of manifestations of it, but it's still type 2 diabetes. It's not type 1 diabetes. I run into this all the time. My doctor says I have type 1 diabetes. Well, you need to change doctors, because your doctor is either ignorant or a crook, one or the other. Okay. And it's one of those things where diabetes is a very simple nutritional deficiency disease, whether an embryo, okay, and the sperm has just fertilized the egg and the mother's deficient and the father's deficient in these nutrients. You don't have your pancreas making all the pieces it needs to make enough insulin as you're growing up as an embryo and when you're born. Okay, you're born with type 1 diabetes because mama and daddy didn't have enough nutrition when the egg was fertilized by the sperm. And so it's considered to be a autoimmune genetic disease, okay? And it's one of those things where they miss it by 1,000 miles. I get people who come to me, Justin, they're 65 years old, and they say, I was just diagnosed with diabetes. I say, really? They say, yes. Doctors are scratching their head because they say I have type 1 diabetes. Well, no, you need to change doctors, because if you had type 1 diabetes, you'd have had it when you were born, not when you're 65 years old. You have type 2 diabetes. He said, well, yeah, but it doesn't respond to the standard treatment. Okay, well, that gives me a lot of hints. Okay. What do you eat for breakfast every morning? Oh, I have oatmeal for breakfast every morning. Well, that's why you have a problem, because you can't absorb anything when you have all that gluten from oatmeal. Okay. So You need to get rid of all the bad foods, no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, barley, rye, and oats, no buckwheat, because there's no gluten in buckwheat, but buckwheat has phagopyrines in it, F-A-G-O-pyrines in it, which is worse than gluten. No sugar, no carbonated drinks, even the diet ones got to go, and no carbonated water, because carbonation neutralizes your stomach acid, so you cannot absorb minerals and digest food. So with all that sort of basically said, diabetes is very, once you know you have it, it's a manageable thing. And type 2 diabetes is reversible, I mean, very quickly, within weeks, okay? I've never failed. When somebody comes to me, regardless of age, with type 2 diabetes, they can reverse it within weeks, okay? Because it's very simple nutritional deficiencies, but most of the time, they forget to get rid of the bad stuff so they can absorb the nutrients, okay? So you have to go through all that process and so on. And of course, Justin, being in the military, and the reason why he survived being in the military, he was able to put his mind to it and deal with things the way they're supposed to be dealt with. And see, I went to Fort Leonard Wood, artillery, 105s and 155s is where I was in for 7 years. Then they transferred me to the Air Force because they wanted to be moving those artillery pieces around, and they wanted somebody who knew what to do with them. And I retired from the Air Force as Lieutenant Colonel. So very proud of that. Okay. And so Justin and I are brothers, okay, because of our service to this great country and to the great people of this country. And I can't thank him enough for sharing his story. And it's one of those things where when you have these deficiencies, you have to make sure you can absorb. We have the healthy, let's see here, we have the healthy blood sugar pack. If your only problem is type 2 diabetes or type 1 diabetes, either one, the pack will work for either one. But the type 2 diabetes we can eliminate, but you still need to take the 90 essential nutrients forever after that. But type 1 diabetes, you're not making enough insulin because of the deficiencies the embryo had, not getting enough cells in the pancreas, and the baby was born with a bad pancreas because it didn't have enough nutrition to make enough cells in the islets of Langerhans to make enough insulin. Okay, this is sort of the story. Well, with all that said, it's one of those things where when you have diabetes, whether it's type 1 or type 2, you're urinating a lot. I have people who come to me, they haven't urinated in 10 years. They have not urinated one drop in 10 years. Okay, and so what they would do is they would put them on dialysis. They're getting dialysis 6 days a week. Okay, and I put them on my program for type 2 diabetes. And in 2 weeks' time, they're urinating. So they drop down the dialysis from 6 days a week down to 3 days a week. And in 2 more weeks, they're totally off of dialysis and they're diabetes free and they go on about their life, but they have to take the 90 essential nutrients forever. Okay, including those nutrients. People say, which one is it? Which one is it? And I used to tell them which ones they were, and they'd run to the grocery store and they'd run to the pharmacy and they'd buy those 1 or 2 nutrients, and they would help their symptoms for a few weeks and months and so forth. And then a year later, 2 years later, they would die. And I hadn't heard from them. So I said, hey, Julie, whatever happened to Frankie? I haven't heard from you guys in 6 months. Oh, well, he did what you said. He took those nutrients. He did better for a while, and then he died. What? Okay. Because he didn't take them all, as I said. He just took the ones, you know, that deal specifically with the blood sugar issues. So you have to take them all. You don't just put dirt from Texas in your car and hope there's enough oil in it. Okay. People take much better care of their car than they do themselves. And so this is something that it's easy. And of course, we get down to diabetes and high blood pressure. What's going on here? Well, high blood pressure with diabetics is caused because the kidneys, okay, are putting out products that actually cause the blood vessels to get plugged. They have plaque in the arteries in the kidneys. Okay, when you have type 2 diabetes or type 1 diabetes also. But type 2 diabetes, suddenly now you have plaque in your arteries, and so they don't respond properly, and your blood pressure goes up. They put you on dialysis, your blood pressure. And so it's one thing after another. It all comes down to somewhere along the line, you're getting cheated when it came to nutrition. And so this is why we came out with so many books. And this is why we have the book, The Wallach Revolution. And it's one of those things where it's 75 years of a progress report, and it doesn't have all 600 diseases I've been dealing with, but it does deal with many of them. And of course, two of the very famous people who we helped, one was Pat Boone, who had terrible arthritis. I mean, they were going to give him a double knee replacement, and we put him on our program, Healthy Bone and Joint Pack, because we didn't have the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack yet back then. And in weeks, we got him better. In months, he was totally cured of his arthritis. And he volunteered to write the foreword to this book, okay, The Wallach Revolution. So Pat Boone wrote the foreword at the beginning. It's a very wonderful story. And he tells his story. So you can't say, well, Wallach, you made all that up. That's Pat Boone telling his story. And then the last chapter in the book, Danny Glover, he had epilepsy and seizures from the time he was born. And, you know, he was going down the tubes very rapidly. And we got him on our program for those issues, for brain issues and so on, and resolved all that very quickly within weeks. And so he wanted to do something. So he wrote the last chapter in the book telling his story about his epilepsy and his seizures. Okay. It's one of those things where these are unimpeachable stories because they're coming out of the mouth of the person to which the story is about. So they can't say, well, you're just making that up. Okay. So this book should be in every family's hands so they can see what goes on here, because there are no genetically transmitted diseases. I repeat that, there are no genetically transmitted diseases. There are no autoimmune diseases. When doctors don't know, they blame it on you. Oh, it's a genetic disease. Oh, it's an autoimmune disease. Your body's attacking itself. Okay. And of course, that all happened after very crazy thing happened at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Monday, September 4th, 1882, on Pearl Street in New York City, the bluff overlooking the construction of Brooklyn Bridge, when Thomas Edison pulled the switch in the first commercial electric generating plant. Well, guess what? Okay, we named this book Hell's Kitchen after the city district in New York, okay, city, right? And every bad thing in the world happens there, so they call it Hell's Kitchen. So we named this book Hell's Kitchen because after thousands and thousands and thousands of years of using wood and coal as fuel, putting the wood ashes and coal ashes into our gardens. Did you do that when you were a kid, Justin? Putting wood ashes in your gardens?
Okay. Sure did.
We had electricity.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, how many minerals in your diet does electricity produce? None.
Not many.
Yeah, no. Well, when you look at that, electricity has killed more people. And now, don't get me wrong, electricity has been good for manufacturing and businesses and all kinds of stuff, communications, no doubt about it. But when it comes to health, electricity is very bad, okay? Because you don't have the production of the wood ashes and coal ashes anymore, which is where we're getting our minerals, because when the wood and coal was burned, 95% of the ashes were minerals and only 2 or 3% were carbon. And then when we went to electricity, there was no more wood ashes, no more minerals. And nutritional minerals do not occur in a uniform blanket around the crust of the earth. They occur in veins like gold and silver. So unless you're supplementing with all 90 essential nutrients, including all 60 essential minerals, you're going to have a problem somewhere along the line. And diabetes is one of the big ones. And of course, if you eat fried foods and you're using lots of oils, salad dressings and cooking oils and stuff like that, you get plaque in your arteries. It's not cholesterol blocking your arteries. It's oxidized oils, okay, that actually cause plaque in your arteries. There was another mistake that the medicos made over 100 years ago, 1900, when they came up with patting themselves on the back and the chest and the top of the head. Because, oh, we found out the cause of plaque in your arteries is caused by cholesterol. So stop eating cholesterol, no eggs, no fat, no red meat, none of that kind of stuff. And then they came out with cholesterol lowering drugs, statin drugs, and that started causing Alzheimer's disease. In 1906 was the first Alzheimer's disease caused by the drugs that lowered your cholesterol. See here, 25% of your brain is cholesterol. It's called myelin. It's the white matter of the brain. Your white matter of your brain goes away. They call it demyelinization, okay, myelin going away. When the myelin goes away, you get all the short circuiting in the brain and you have a memory issue. And then, of course, when it goes away in your spinal cord, you get MS, multiple sclerosis, you get Guillain-Barré syndrome. You can also get tremors, and there's Parkinson's disease. And then, of course, you have trouble with sex because 95% of the sex hormones are made, both testosterone and estrogen, are cholesterol. And so you're going to have a rat's life if you're not eating 3 eggs twice a day with soft yolks. And so we do have what we call the I-24, okay, or I-26, I guess it is, right? I-26. Okay.
I-26.
I-26, okay. Yeah, I-26. And I-26, of course, it says right on the label, provides 25% of your daily requirement of cholesterol. That freaks everybody out. Well, my doctor says cholesterol is a bad thing. Well, change doctors. Okay.
So, Dr. Wallach, in Justin's case, his pancreas stopped working. What would cause the pancreas to stop working?
Well, that's very easy. Okay. Again, the pancreas produces nutrients. Obviously, he was producing those the hormones and things he needed for his pancreas to work until he got in his 20s, and then it went away. Okay. Well, what was missing? What was missing was the nutrients necessary for the islet to Langerhans cells to produce the insulin. Okay, he couldn't produce enough insulin anymore, so that's why he had diabetes. He may have also had some reactive hypoglycemia when he eats something with high carbohydrates and high sugar. Within a half hour, your blood sugar is going to drop like a rock. Okay, so that would be what we call reactive hypoglycemia. That goes along with the stuff with diabetes, and doctors don't understand all that. Okay, reactive hypoglycemia. This is why you see so many accidents on the highway. And they do, autopsy into people because it's a head on. They cross the center line, do a head on, kill the other people coming at them and kill themselves. And then they do the autopsy. Well, they didn't have any drugs in them. Why did he cross the center line? That's because his blood sugar dropped down to 10, went to sleep. Okay, it's called reactive hypoglycemia because he had a big lunch or a big dinner and he's driving, and an hour afterwards, all that insulin being released by the pancreas is driving the blood sugar down, went to sleep while he's driving 70 miles an hour. Game over.
So something that's been on my heart, Dr. Wallach, especially with those in armed services, is they put out a lot of physical energy.
Mhm.
They are sweating, they are working hard, they're going days without sitting at a table, eating a meal, whether it's 4 squares or what, but they're not necessarily getting the 90 essential nutrients.
Well,
So
under
it's
ideal
draining their bodies
circumstances,
even
Rebecca,
more.
under ideal circumstances, you cannot get the 90 essential nutrients just by eating well. Okay.
That's
because
what you keep telling me. And you know what?
Well,
I
plants do
believe
not
you.
make minerals. Plants, you show me a plant that makes a mineral and I will make you a trillionaire. There are no plants that make minerals. Plants make vitamins, amino acids, and fatty acids, but they do not make minerals. Plants only need 3. We need 60. And so that's why when you look at commercial fertilizers for plants, and farmers get paid by tons and bushels. So all they care about is tons and bushels. They don't care about the nutritional value of the food. That's why they give all these vitamins and minerals to their animals. Okay, they get paid by tons and bushels. So plants only need 3 minerals: NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. When you look at any commercial fertilizer, that's what's in there, NPK. Okay, we need 60. All mammals, okay, and many reptiles and birds and stuff like that also require the 60 essential minerals. Okay, the only way you're going to get them, I'm going to repeat that, the only way you're going to get all 60 essential minerals with every meal, ideally in optimal amounts, is to supplement. That's why you put oil in your car. You don't just put dirt from Texas in your car and hope there's oil in it and hope there's brake fluid and coolant. You put all those things in there, in the proper places and in the proper forms. You don't just put dirt from Texas in your car and hope it covers all those things. And that's what you're doing when you're just going to eat well. Well, I eat 3 meals a day. I don't know why I'm having all these problems. Well, are you supplementing? Well, no, my doctor said I don't have to. Just eat well. Change doctors.
Well, in our military's case, Dr. Wallach, though, they eat what they're fed. So I think it should be our goal and mission. And anybody that's listening here, if you are in touch with or in the position that you can make and be an influence when it comes to our military, and I'm a little partial to the US, but I love everybody. We need to make this mandatory. mandatory as part of their daily intake.
That is
So,
correct.
Justin, I think I saw your head go up and down a little bit.
Yep. It would
And then,
extend the life of the soldier in the military, so he can
Yes.
continue to serve longer and more effectively.
Yes, and get more out of that training that's given to them. Okay, that's beautiful. Well said, Justin. Well said. And of course, your experience there, we cannot thank you enough for that and being such a great example to help support the safety of America and all its citizens. Also, when you're in the American military, you're also protecting the rest of the world too.
absolutely. Now, Phyllis has her hand up. So, Phyllis, take it away.
I have a question for you, Justin. I'm curious. You were living as a type 1 diabetic, and as far as you knew that your pancreas would not ever function normally, at least that's what the doctors were telling you. But
Yes.
being, having somewhat of an independent nature, you knew not to necessarily assume that was true. So I'm curious, how did you notice that your pancreas was starting to function normally? And given, of course, that you were following Dr. Wallach's protocols with the good foods, bad foods, the healthy blood sugar pack and all that, I'm curious, how did you find out that your pancreas was starting to function normally again?
The VA is known, I just found out in November of 2022, but the VA actually found some things going on in a lab that they did on my blood in 2018. And there was an enzyme being secreted that it told them that there is some pancreas function happening, but they didn't tell me for 4 years. And when they finally told me that they had found this in November of 2022, they said, oh yeah, you have some pancreas function. You're actually a type 1.5 diabetic now. So they misdiagnosed me years ago. And now I do have symptomology of type 1 diabetes, which is what they're saying. The treatment method is the same. So, it's not a misdiagnosis, but we did find something in a lab that shows that your pancreas is secreting some amount of insulin, but it's completely sporadic. We can't say when it's going to happen or how often, but it's happening. And so I'm ODing on insulin, and I've been in insulin-induced comas because of the insulin therapy that they have me on. I've been in insulin-induced comas at least 5 to 10 times. And those are the ones that I know about where like my girlfriend couldn't wake me up. I was unconscious. I was unresponsive. It was time to go to work and I didn't get up in the morning when the alarm went off, and she's trying to wake me up so I'm not late, and I'm dead. I'm in a coma. And that's happened. And I've been rushed to the hospital for that 3 to 5 times. But I know that it's probably happened to me hundreds of times in the middle of the night while I'm sleeping. I slip into an insulin coma, and some of it is from the insulin I'm injecting, but I'm also secreting insulin. But the VA does not prepare you or give you numbers. Here's how much insulin we need to take out of your injections because you're secreting this much insulin. And if we give you both, you're going to OD. So I'm overdosing on insulin because of this. I don't know what to do, but it's what's happened is I've been taking the pancreas supplements, and what do you know? My pancreas is coming back to life. It's starting to try to secrete insulin for me again, and I got to be honest too. I have not been taking the full dose that Dr. Wallach wanted me to take. I can afford roughly 40 to 50% of the dose that he prescribed me. And so without even taking the full dose, my pancreas is trying to come back to life. If I was taking the full dose for the past 10 years, I might not even be a diabetic by now. I might have reversed it. So I need to really focus my finances on getting the rest of the supplements that I need, because things are happening for the positive. And the VA does not like it. The Veterans Administration is upset by what I'm telling them. And when I try to tell them, hey, this is what I'm doing that I think is turning my pancreas back on, they're like, well, there's no research to prove that.
Well, what you want to do, Austin, is remind them that I sued the FDA 8 times in federal court and won. They don't want to go to court with me because I will just beat them up, and they would, bad, okay, because they're mistreating you, okay, and so we need to build you a longevity family business here so that you have enough income coming in to pay for what's going on here. In the meantime, we'll see what else we can do to make it happen quicker, okay?
Yeah, I would like to. I've been contemplating making a documentary film of me reversing my diabetes. That way, I could bring more diabetics into longevity.
That'll be a beautiful story, okay? To take somebody who risked their life on behalf of the country and our people to benefit this, and not only benefit yourself, but also tell your story, which is going to help everybody.
Yeah, I would love to.
Okay, let's do it.
May I say that this shows the importance of all of us being our own health advocates, even in the face of these big bureaucracies and these doctors. And it's so hard to stand up to them sometimes, I know. And good on you for taking that on.
And Justin, whatever we can do to help you do that.
Well, just one or two sentences to kind of give you some real hope here, Justin. When I was 9 years old, the medical system, 20 doctors couldn't figure out what caused me to have all kinds of mental problems. They were going to put me into a what we call a
Just a mental hospital, Dr. Wallach.
It was a
Keeps
hospital
you from
prison.
hurting yourself.
Yeah, it was a hospital prison. Okay, so on Friday night, before I was supposed to go on Monday, my parents are packing my clothes. I'm sitting on the end of the bed and I'm saying, okay, why is it that I have this problem? 20 doctors couldn't figure it out. There were pediatricians, pediatric psychiatrists, and they just throw up their hands and walk away after a couple of weeks of working with me. And so I'm saying there's got to be something going on here. And then I said, you know, all the animals on our farm are not having this problem. And so in the morning, on Saturday morning, I threw my Cheerios and my oatmeal and my Wheaties into the chicken coops. So they were all happy. We're all eating all my cereals. And I went to the barn and I got the alfalfa pellets. We were feeding the calves. Okay, so the calves wouldn't be drinking all the milk because we wanted to get the milk from the cow for ourselves. So we were feeding the calves alfalfa pellets, but they were not just alfalfa pellets, they were supplemented with vitamins and minerals. So I put them in my cereal bowl, put milk in it, had that for breakfast. On Sunday morning, I did it again. Monday morning, I did it again. By 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Monday, I was cured. Okay, after 9 years of having all these problems, I cured myself in 3.5 days. I was just a crazy kid. Okay, and so to make a long story short, we got down the line, we got all kinds of grants, $21 million in grants. My thesis is in the Smithsonian Institute as a national treasure. Sells for $25,000 each. My thesis is a book with all this information proving there are no genetic diseases or no autoimmune diseases. And we have a summary of that. Okay, that's the epigenetics book. It's a summary of my thesis. It only sells for $25, not 25,000. Okay, but you have to lift it up just a little bit more because you're just getting there you go. Because I'm the guy that found the cause, prevention, cure of cystic fibrosis, supposed to be a genetic disease, birth defect. I'm the guy who found the cause, prevention, and cure of muscular dystrophy, gave it to Jerry Lewis, and we were able to deal with that. And I'll tell you that in a minute here. We took it, to make a long story short, we took it in and got it approved. And we eliminated muscular dystrophy. You don't hear about that anymore because we eliminated it because when we sued the FDA 8 times in federal court, we forced them to put these nutrients into the baby formulas. They were fighting it for 100 years. No, all those minerals are toxic to babies. So we had to fight them in federal court and prove it. And then, of course, we also got rid of SID, sudden death syndrome. Okay, yeah, that's me getting the gold medal. Okay, from the Klaus Schwartz Award.
Commemorative medal from Klaus Schwartz
Award. Yeah, Klaus Schwartz Award. Okay, for making all those discoveries. So we got rid of cystic fibrosis, got rid of muscular dystrophy, got rid of sudden death syndrome. You don't hear about sudden death syndrome anymore. That wasn't the mothers laying on the babies. Did you ever hear that, Justin, where they were saying their mothers were laying on the babies and suffocating them?
I've heard, yeah.
Yeah, that's what the medical doctors were saying. It was just a simple nutritional deficiency. The same thing that's causing sudden heart death in young athletes in their 20s, 30s, and 40s was just happening in infants because those nutrients were not in the baby formulas. So we forced them to put in the baby formulas within 90 days. No more cystic fibrosis, no more muscular dystrophy, and no more sudden death syndrome. We got rid of those 3 diseases like in almost overnight, 90 days, because we forced them through 8 federal lawsuits, and we prevailed in every one of them.
That just goes to prove that the body can do some amazing things, folks.
Yes.
You give the body what it needs in the right proportions and not cherry pick this and that, or, you know.
You got to get rid of the bad stuff too, so you can maximize absorption.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we don't do fractionated supplementation.
Yeah. So just
we do complete.
all those
90
discoveries are
essential
done. Rebecca, just remember, all those discoveries were made by a 9-year-old kid.
He's, you know what? He was put in the right place at the right time and used by the good Lord above.
Yeah.
To enlighten us and give us information that is empowering. Like Justin, he took your information. He became a empowered individual. And thank God for the person that he met within longevity, which I think I might be looking at. Phyllis, was it you and Andy?
Actually, it was, I believe Ron. Is that right, Justin?
Rock and
Ron-
Ron, yep.
Ron
Rock and Ron saved my
Randazzo.
life.
Yeah, Ron
Beautiful.
was an amazing individual. Love that man. He was like a brother. So, you know, but it was you and Andy that brought Ron in. And that's how this business works, folks. We are touching lives, and those people are touching lives, and those people are touching lives. And that's how we build stronger families, stronger communities, and a stronger world. We're not chemical deficient. And when we abuse our bodies, whether we know we're abusing it or not, whether we know that what we're sweating out is nutrients that the body needs, and we're not replacing it, so there's going to be breakdown. We need to get this information out that is going to help people enjoy a longer, healthier life and make it to that 120, like Dr. Wallach keeps pointing out, the Bible says, and man's years shall be 120. We can get there, but it takes the information, putting it into practice, sharing it, and letting others feel the difference too. Justin, I commend you and thank you so much for coming on and being here with us today, sharing your story. I know we have just a few more minutes, and I don't know if anybody has any questions for Dr. Wallach or Justin in regards to diabetes and kidneys and pancreas and how they all work together. And I wanted to ask Dr. Wallach this question. Dr. Wallach, how does the pancreas link to the kidneys?
Okay. Well, the pancreas, of course, is primarily involved with digestion and absorption. And the kidneys require nutrients to function. So if the kidney is going to get what it needs, it's got to rely on the pancreas to do that. Okay. Also, both the pancreas and the kidney require all the nutrients to be absorbed. And so we need the blood vessels to be working properly. And when you start getting high blood pressure, it's because the kidneys are being involved. Okay. High blood pressure is not caused by plaque in the arteries in the heart. High blood pressure is caused by the plaque in the arteries of the kidneys. And the blood pressure goes up. Okay. Because that's how the kidneys work, because it's forcing the blood to go through all these pumps and filters and this, that, and the other, and so on. And so this is not difficult once you understand that they're related in the fact that they all require a certain amount of blood flow to do their function and get what they need to survive and function. And then also when the blood pressure goes up, it affects the brain, it affects the heart, it affects the lungs, affects the liver, affects the kidneys, affects the pancreas, affects the small intestines, the large intestines, the stomach, affects the muscles, affects the bones. And so your pancreas And your kidneys really, really, really are equally as important for a long, healthful life as is your brain and your heart and so on.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Wallach. So, Dr. Wallach, if you were just starting out with Justin, he's been told that he has type 1. Oh, okay. I'm gonna stop my question, and then I'm gonna ask for you to come on. Give me. Deborah, can you unmute yourself? Can you unmute yourself?
I think I did, didn't I?
Yes, ma'am.
Did I?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, hi.
Hi. Hi.
I thought maybe y'all been waiting for me to get my hand up, so I thought I'd go ahead and do it. Hi, Justin.
Hello.
Today I'm on with a friend of mine that they have actually 2 kids. One's a cousin, but he's 9 years old and was diagnosed last year with what type 1 diabetes. And so the whole family's been in a whole whirlwind over this whole thing. And this is why this is really important to me to get the word out on diabetes, because I have the knowledge, and I just had to ask this question today, because this kid is, and the family, they're all suffering, and he's only 9 years old.
Let's stop there because they only have a few moments. Okay. Type 1 diabetes you're born with. Look it up by definition. What is type 1 diabetes? It's a form of diabetes you're born with. Okay. So if he's just being diagnosed at 9 years of age with type 1 diabetes, there's a problem with the diagnostics there. Okay. Because he wasn't born with it, it's not type 1 diabetes. You get type 2 diabetes when you're 2 years old if you're deficient in those nutrients. Okay. And doctors know, oh, okay, he's got diabetes. And they know not to say type 1 because type 1, you're born with it. They think it's a genetic birth defect. No, mama and daddy were missing stuff when the egg was fertilized by the sperm. And so when the pancreas is forming in that embryo, when it was just weeks and months old, the embryo couldn't form enough cells in the Langerhans and the pancreas to make enough insulin. That's a type 1 diabetic. So people come to me when they're 10 years old, 15 years old, 25 years old, 60 years. I get them come to me, they're 70 years old. My doctor said I have diabetes now. I was just diagnosed. Said, did you have it before? No, just diagnosed. He said, I have type 1 diabetes. Okay, we need to change doctors because type 1 diabetes is a birth defect. It's not a genetic birth defect, but it's a birth defect. Okay. And if you're not born with type 1 diabetes, you diagnosed with diabetes when you're 2 years old, it's not type 1. Okay, you can see you get it when you're 65 and you're not making any insulin. That's not type 1. Okay, it's still type 2. You need to take all these nutrients so your body can function properly. Okay, and so it's one of those things where it's not difficult. You get rid of all the bad foods, you get them on the 90 essential nutrients. If finances are not a problem, get them on the 215 nutrients with a healthy brain and heart pack and throw in the sweeties. And make sure to get rid of all the bad foods they can absorb, because there's nothing worse than not absorbing. Well, I've been taking all this stuff and nothing's happening. What do you eat for breakfast every morning? Oh, I ate buckwheat and oatmeal. Well, that's why you're not absorbing, because your intestines are dead. All the villi are gone. You have a plastic tube down there instead of a shag rug. So you don't have enough surface area to absorb the nutrients. Okay. And so people need to know all these little bitty pieces. They don't teach this in medical school. They do not teach these things in medical school. Medical doctors have no clue. They have no clue. Okay, when it comes to type 1 diabetes. If you're not making insulin, they just say, oh, you have type 1 diabetes. Well, how do they get to be 65 years old without being diagnosed? And they get, an annual physical every year for 65 years and they're diagnosed with diabetes. There's something wrong here with that picture. This is not difficult to understand how badly the doctors are missing it. Now, are they missing it because of ignorance in training, or because they have a kid in college and tuition is due?
So what would the protocol be for a 9-year-old? for in this case.
They and the whole family need to get rid of all the bad stuff. No fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, butter, and oats, no buckwheat, no sugar, no carbonated drinks. Even the diet drinks and the carbonated water need to go. And then they need in the minimum, finances are an issue. Get the healthy blood sugar pack, okay, and it's one healthy blood sugar pack per 100 pounds of body weight. If the kid weighs 50 pounds, that just to get one healthy blood sugar pack per month and give him a half a dose of breakfast, half a dose at dinner time. And if it's a kid weighs 150 pounds because he's 14, 15 years old, you get 2 healthy blood sugar packs and get them on, and you get rid of all the bad foods and all that stuff again, and get them on a full dose of everything twice a day, and keep taking their blood sugar issues and blood sugar and their blood pressure, check their urine, see how much sugar is coming through in the urine, all that kind of stuff. And usually within weeks, their diabetes goes away because it's just a simple nutritional deficiencies. When doctors give you an iron injection when you have anemia, they're expecting you, well, why didn't they just give you iron orally? Well, we tried that and it didn't work. Well, did he ask you what you eat for breakfast? No. Did he ask you what to eat for lunch? No. He just said it's not working. And so let's just go the other direction here. And so that's because they don't even think about absorption. So I apologize. That's the ringing me.
All right. So Dr. Wallach, that answers my question, because my question for you was going to be, what would you recommend for Justin if he was just getting started? Thank you so much, Deborah, for coming on and asking that question. Dr. Wallach, thank you, thank you, thank you. Once again, I know you have to get going. So, hey, have a great next show, Doc.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Bye for now.
Thank you for coming on. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And I just want to thank Justin once again for coming on with us, sharing your story and giving that glimpse of hope for others. Now, I got a little teary because Deborah is Ron's sister, and Ron was a good friend, and I love Deborah. And Ron is the one that introduced you to longevity.
Yep.
And I just praise God for him and for her and for you and all that you are doing, Phyllis, being part of that as well. And the fact that we can get your story out and help others is my heart's desire. So whatever we can do to make that happen, you just let us know.
I will.
All right. Sorry, folks. Yes. So thank you again, Justin. Thank you, Phyllis, for making this happen. Thank you, Deborah, for coming on and bringing your questions to help somebody that's been diagnosed with diabetes at such a young age, being told that it's type 1, and being able to allow us to share Dr. Wallach's message that it is truly, unless it's at birth, it's not type 1, folks. And there's things that we can do, whether it's, we can't cure and reverse anything. The body can do amazing things though, when it's given the right ingredients, the raw ingredients. So give your body the right ingredients. You can't expect to throw a bunch of garbage at your body and have it last and support you in all that you do without giving it care. Self-care is so important, and that includes nutrition, because our food doesn't have it. Our food does not have it. I was eating everything that I was supposed to. I was going by all of those healthy diets where it's all grains and limiting fats and limiting sugars, and it didn't work. I was getting sicker and sicker. But when I started giving the body, my body, what it needed with the 90 essential nutrients, I was able to look forward to life and now be able to do what I want, when I want, without having those restrictions caused by degenerative bone and disc disease, metabolic syndrome, fibromyalgia, migraines. The list goes on and on. I avoided carpal tunnel syndrome, all because I gave the body what it needed, what my body was starving for. And you can too. I just want to do a special shout out and again, thank my co-hosts for being here and supporting this mission. Not just supporting me, but supporting this mission for all of you that are watching this program. I've got Ruth Ellen Sanchez. She helps me make sure that all the streams are working. And I've got sound, all those good things that we had to figure out in the beginning. So thank you so much, Ruth Ellen.
Well,
We've got Marilyn Spear, who's helping keep the chat going, keep the room going, keeping it a family safe place. And Sherry Browning doing the same as well and making sure that everybody gets in so that they can hear the message. And Phyllis Anderson also, you know, being just a cornerstone of the longevity story and getting Dr. Wallach's message out. You inspire me. You're one of my beginning mentors. I appreciate you and taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with us and all that you've done in contributing to making stronger communities. And again, I thank our special guest, Justin, for coming on with us. I mean, you're not a stranger to being on the air. And I think that's absolutely fabulous. I know with some changes in radio, I think that we need to take your voice, and you're probably doing it, but we want to make your story even bigger so that you can impact more and more people around the world. So thank you, Justin. And thank you, AJ. I'm not going to forget you, buddy. AJ, Sportus Nutritionist out on YouTube. You are fantastic in making sure that the chat there is going strong. Everybody, we will see you tomorrow.
no, we won't.
Oh, no, we won't.
We won't. I
All
wanted to make sure everybody, I'm sorry we didn't remind you or tell you at the beginning, but we will not be here tomorrow. So we will see you all on Friday. We have some things that we couldn't rearrange and reschedule. So they took priority, but we will be back Friday.
Yes, we will. Friday. So most weeks, Monday through Friday, from 12 to 12:50 p.m. Pacific time, we are here on dailywithDocZoom.com. Come join us. Bye for now.
Bye.
Oh, before we go, folks, if somebody invited you to watch this program, get back with them. Tell them thank you. If you can think of somebody, or as you're listening, you think of somebody who has been diagnosed with kidney disease or issues with their pancreas, type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes. No, we cannot say that we can cure, diagnose, treat anything with our products. But again, I cannot say it enough. Your body was designed so that it continually makes cells. If you give it the raw ingredients it needs to make healthier cells, it's going to make healthier cells. You can't go from an egg and sperm and develop into this breathing, walking, talking individual and think that it just stops once you hit adulthood. Your cells are continually regenerating, sloughing off, regenerating, and your body can do amazing things with the right stuff. So until next time, dailywithdoc.com. I'm going on and on. Ruth Ellen's waiting to stop. And I'm going on and on.
You can go
Sorry.
on and on, Rebecca.
But
It's all good.
so if you have never spoken with anybody about longevity before, if you've never tried any of the longevity products, feel free to go to our website, dailywithdoc.com. If you have questions and you would like to get connected with a certified holistic health coach, use that contact us option and send us an email. I will make sure that we get you connected with a certified holistic health coach. If you are drawn towards any of our coaches and you want to get involved with them specifically or have them coach you, please put their name in there. Or any of the longevity distributors that you've seen or want to work with, put their name in there. We want to hook you up with somebody that's going to give you the support that you feel comfortable with. So again, that's dailywithdoc.com. Contact us. We do have a full store there for people who have never purchased longevity products before. We welcome you to take advantage of that. We also have the good foods, bad foods list on our website, and almost all of the replays from Daily with Doc, Ask Doc Daily, Ask Doc Live, Q&A with pharmacist Ben Fuchs, and many, many more educational information shows and articles that empower you as an individual and give you the knowledge that you can use within your own lives to help yourself. Until next time, bye for now.